Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting May 20th, 2025. This time I'll ask Adrian Carrico to please call the roll.
Commissioner Sanford?
Here.
Commissioner Neesmith? Here. Mayor Watson?
Here.
Commissioner Maglinger?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn?
Here.
Thank you. This time we'll have the invocation and the pledge. If you're able to stand, please stand. Please pray with us. With all the chaos in the world, there's always comfort in God's word. Like Psalm 23, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil, for you are with me. As tough as it seems sometimes, just look above. Don't look to the right, don't look to the left. Look to him for answers, even when sometimes the answers do not heal the weary. God's wisdom and grace can heal even the toughest loss and can fill the void to allow you to move forward. Please bless all those that keep us safe and make sure that they get home safe because they have loved ones as well. We ask all this in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple. We have to recognize a couple of retirements. Shalene Davis, bus driver. Have a little something. She's not here, but we're going to read about her anyway. Shalene Davis began her career with the City of Owensboro Transit Department in February 2006. Over the years, she's been a dedicated and loyal employee, serving under several different managers and witnessing many changes within the department. Throughout her tenure, Shalene, I hope that sounds right, has been a friendly and familiar face to countless riders, always representing the city with warmth and professionalism. As she enters retirement, Shalene looks forward to spending more time with her beautiful grandchildren and family. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Shalene for her years of service and wish her all the very best in her next chapter of life. Okay, I have a couple of proclamations we're going to do. Since I'm one of the oldest ones here, we're going to start with the Older American Month. Older American Month. Testing. Mr. Tucker, would you please come forward? And anybody else you want to bring with you?
Good, how are you, sir?
Nice beard.
Thank you.
Hello, Pam. Hi. A couple on this side and a couple on that side, please. There you go. On behalf of the City of Owensboro, a proclamation. Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and honor older adults and their immense influence on every facet of American society. Whereas through their wealth of life experience and wisdom, older adults guide younger generations and carry forward abundant cultural and historical knowledge. And whereas older Americans improve our communities through intergenerational relationships, community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. Whereas the communities benefit when people of all ages and abilities and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently. And whereas we must ensure that older Americans have the resources and support needed to stay involved in their communities, reflecting our commitment to inclusivity and connectedness. Whereas the Senior Community Center of Owensboro, Davis County, plays a vital role in enriching the lives of our older residents by offering meals, social events, wellness programs, and opportunities for connection and community engagement. Therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim May of 2025 as Older Americans Month and in Owensboro, and urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the contributions of older citizens and promoting programs and activities that foster connection, inclusion, and support for older adults. Signed and sealed this 20th day of May, 2025.
Mayor, I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of our seniors that utilize the senior center and also all of our satellite sites. Our daily average attendance is up to 250 people at all of 5 locations where we're serving currently. As everybody knows, we are nearing groundbreaking on a new facility that is so exciting, and we're just thrilled to have the support of the city and all of its residents to be able to continue doing what we do. Thank you so much.
You tell Leland to get on it.
Yeah.
You working on it? Okay, I need Mike, I know. Ms. Riddle, EMS Program Coordinator from OH, to accept the proclamation. Bring anybody you want.
Come on, guys.
It's a $5 charge.
Put it on the fire department's
Put it on the fire department.
I'm good.
You compadres? A little shy? They're okay. Okay, the proclamation from the City of Owensboro, where emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of our emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience a sudden illness or injury, whereas emergency medical services help fill health gaps by providing. Is Harpo in here somewhere? Where was I? Remember? Whereas the medical emergency service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designing the emergency and designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim May 18th through the 24th as the Emergency Medical Services Week in Owensboro. I encourage all the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities in honor of the EMS profession and the essential services it provides. Signed and sealed this 20th day of May, 2025.
Mama raised me to wait for everyone to do their thing.
An old guy to sit down, I got you.
I don't want her to reach down and smack me from the heavens. Thank you, Mayor Watson. Thank you, commissioners. We appreciate you. On behalf of Owensboro Health Regional Hospital and our emergency medical services team, thank you so much for recognizing May 18th through 24th as EMS Week in Owensboro. This year's theme is We Care for Everyone. And it speaks directly to the heart of what EMS stands for, because we do care for everyone. No matter the hour, no matter the call, our teams show up with skill, compassion, and a steady hand. We care for neighbors, we care for strangers, we care for our loved ones, anyone who needs us when seconds matter most. This proclamation honors the commitment, and it reminds our community of the vital role that EMS plays, saving lives and building trust in moments of crisis. We're grateful for your support, and we thank you for helping us shine a light on these quiet heroes who care without hesitation. And if you don't mind, the EMS prayer. As I perform my duty, whatever be the call, help to guide me and keep me safe from dangers big and small. I want to serve and do my best, no matter what the scene. I pledge to keep my skills refined, my judgment quick and keen. This calling to give of myself most do not understand, but I stand ready all the time to help my fellow man, to have the chance to help a child restore their laugh with glee, a word of thanks I might not hear, but knowing is enough for me. The praise of men is fine for some, but I feel truly blessed that you, O Lord, have chosen me to serve in EMS. Thank y'all so much.
Okay, next item on the agenda is an overview of occupational license fee taxes. Dana Coombs, front and center.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, here's a picture of the staff in occupational tax and revenue collections. There's 7, including myself. Okay. The agenda for this afternoon is going to be local tax in Kentucky, what is occupational license tax, exemptions, what is taxable, and what is nexus. Local taxation in Kentucky. Local governments have limited revenue resources. Major tax revenue resources are occupational tax, which includes withholding and net profits, property tax, insurance premium tax. There are 2 types of local taxing powers. You have police powers, which is regulated fees. The amount of tax must not exceed the cost of government program to administer. Examples of that would be your pawnbrokers and adult businesses. And we also have revenue power for financing of local government, which occupational license tax would fall under this. Did it again. Okay. What is occupational license tax? First of all, occupational license tax and occupational license fee is one and the same. Occupational license tax is on business activity within the jurisdiction. It's employee license fee, on compensation, withholding, and or net profit license fee on the business entity. So the employees are taxed, and then the company is taxed on the net profits. You must have business activity to assess occupational license tax. We get a lot of confusion with companies thinking if they have employees working in the jurisdiction but they have no sales, they don't have to file the net profit. That's incorrect. If they have employees here, they have to file a net profit return. The license fee on wages is imposed on employees only. All others pay license fee on the net profits. An example of that would be your independent contractors. Anyone that receives a 1099 would file a net profit return. Some exemptions from net profit receipts are bank, trust companies, savings and loans associations, life insurance companies incorporating under the laws of and doing business in Kentucky, business whose sole business activity is the manufacturing of and/or sale of alcoholic beverages, public service companies that pay a franchise tax, and any local exemptions. For example, one of our local exemptions is city-sponsored events. And that's all on the net profit receipts. Exemptions from compensation wages would Kentucky National Guard activity, duty training, employee under the age of 16, but the day they turn 16, they would be subject. Precinct workers, strike benefits, and unemployment compensation. Okay. What forms are required? The first form that is required is a business license application, and that is to get your account number so you can report your employee withholding and your net profit returns. We have two there's two options to file the employee withholding. They can file monthly, and those are due the 15th day of the next month, or they file quarterly, and those are due the last day of the month following the end of the quarter. Employers that withhold more than $300 per quarter must file on a monthly basis. Then we have the annual net profit return, the NP1. It's due the 15th day of the fourth month after the end of the licensed federal tax year. The annual reconciliation, which is just a reconciliation of the payroll that was reported for the year, that's due February 28th of each year. The reconciliation is we audit that, we take the reconciliations and audit that compared to what they reported throughout the year on their monthly or quarterly returns. Summary and transmittal of non-employee earnings, the 1099 STs. This is for anybody that pays anyone 1099. We require the 1099 ST to be completed even on corporations, because if we have corporations working in our jurisdiction, we want to know, so make sure they're paying their taxes. What is taxable for payroll? Total gross compensation from all sources, including employee contributions to retirement, profit sharing, or deferred comp. Contributions to cafeteria plans are taxable to occupational license. Any benefit that is taxable for federal income tax purposes. Payroll taxable fringe benefits, auto allowances, life insurance greater than $50,000, parking allowance, meal allowance, and moving allowances. What is taxable to net profits? Net profit is assessed on all activity in jurisdiction by a business entity. Net profits are paid at the business entity level. We're different from federal income. Federal income is passed to the owner. We tax at the entity level. We start with the federal taxable income, and we add any state tax based on gross receipts or net income. We add back anything that was deducted from federal, like examples are interest income, dividend income, capital gain. And we add back operating loss carry back or carry forward, and any expense associated with the pass-through. We exclude any income exempt by federal law, state law. Example is alcohol sales is exempt from net profit. When and what to tax, or what is nexus? Do they have nexus? A tax presence in the jurisdiction. If they maintain an office, consign inventory, have employees or agents regularly acting for the company, they have nexus in our jurisdictions. Some common questions that we ask a lot if they call in, want to know if they're subject. Do you own property in the jurisdiction? Do you have payroll in the jurisdiction? Do you have frequent entry in the jurisdiction? Or do you have any sales in the jurisdictions? And then do they qualify for protection under taxation under Public Law 86-272? Public Law 86-272 is a federal law that prohibits states and localities from imposing income taxes on state businesses if their only activity within the state is soliciting sales of tangible property. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Ms. Groves, how you keep track of all the folks that have come to town to doing roof repair and gutter and all that stuff after the storm?
That's a good question. Several years ago, Leland worked with me to go to OMPC, and anybody that pulls a permit has to call us to make sure they have a valid business license.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing we do is we also look at in the Messenger Inquirer every Wednesday. They list all this, people can advertise. We go through that weekly. To anybody advertising to do business, we make sure that they have a license. If not, they get one of our nice, friendly welcome letters. Another way is sometimes we have to catch them on the back end, and that's if somebody pays a contractor or corporation when we're auditing the net profit returns. If they take an expense for contract labor and didn't report it, we request that information.
Well, thank you for all you do. You're keeping this thing going then. Without you all,
Thank
we'd
you.
be in trouble when we met. Oh, you got something, Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. Great presentation. Thank you. Could you explain property tax? Because a lot of people have been reassessed, and they always complain about the cities doing this or that, and it's not actually just us. We are the collection, I guess we collect for the schools too. What percentage do the schools get as opposed to the city of Owensboro?
If I could,
Sure.
Dana runs the tax department as it relates to payroll and net profits primarily. Her staff does collect the property tax. If I could answer that question.
Sure.
Okay. So we collect for the Owensboro Public School System, and the property tax, the PVA, Property Valuation Administration, we tax based on the rate that the commission approves, based on the assessment that PVA sends over to us. We pay them to assess the properties, and we use their assessments for the tax bill. And Rachel and her staff, they assess, I believe it's in fourths. They assess 1/4 of Davis County. So you can expect to be assessed once every 4 years. In addition to that, if there's a sale of property that increases or sets a new assessment value, as well as large construction projects, that she'll go out and assess those annually as the construction progresses and finalizes. But hopefully that answers.
I think most people, they'll say, well, y'all raised our, it's not us, it's the school.
The city tax rate actually went down.
Okay, that's what I want to get to.
For the last go round,
All right.
and our tax rate is about, the school tax rate's about 3 times our rate. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah,
Right.
most of the tax bill is the school.
So when people say the city, they don't really realize we're collecting for the schools too.
That's correct, and we try to get that word out there through Facebook,
It's hard.
the Messenger Inquirer, and things of that nature, and it's broken down as such on the tax bill. But yeah, people do.
Yes.
People like to blame the city.
Yeah.
Commissioner, I think what you're getting at is you're right. We collect for Owensboro Public Schools, and so we bill for them. Of that property tax bill, I think about 23% goes to the city of Owensboro. The remaining 77% would go to Owensboro Public Schools.
Right. I just wanted to clarify I know we've done this many, many times and tried to break it down on the.
We do.
And it's just, people still think that it's just us, but it's not.
And I think too that there was a lot of reassessments just done, because
Yes.
we have received
Yes,
a
there
lot of
was.
phone calls.
Me too.
Yes.
Yes, and
There
so the
was.
property values, yeah,
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
yes, there was a
So-
lot of reassessments.
And the
Yes.
system makes sense if you think about it, because it separates the rate making, which is us, versus setting the valuation. So there's an independence and separation that makes sense. And then our revenue every year is capped, can only go up by a certain amount. So it provides a mechanism there that really limits the overall growth now. So the overall growth can only go up, or revenue increase can only be 4%. Now, individual assessments can vary, but what typically happens is your assessment may not change for 6, 8, 10 years or more, and then it changes in a big lump.
Yep.
Right, so instead of a small bump every year, they tend to happen every 6, 8, 10 years, and it tends to be a 20, 30, 40% increase at one time, because it's not prorated over those individual years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
And
answering.
don't we
that.
collect something for the county as well?
Yeah, yes, we do. In fact, Dana does that,
Dana.
and her staff. They collect occupational net profit for the county as well. And so they're very busy. And while I have the mic, I also want to give them kudos because they work hard. I mean, there's no slack time in that department. And if you recall back when we were talking about centralized collection at the state level and how much we had gotten for audit, I believe it was over $1 million at that point in time. Dana is the one who does those audits and captures those dollars for us. So I also wanted to recognize her for that.
Yeah, they wanted to collect them and then send it back to us whenever they thought they needed to, I guess.
Good luck.
That's right. That's why I really wanted this presentation. Of course, occupational tax is our largest revenue source. It's essentially a third of the general fund. And so I wanted to acknowledge Dana, and also she's got Stacy and Pam from her staff here as well. So I wanted to acknowledge their efforts. And so they really are crucial to what we do in allowing the provision of services and other things, but all rely on the revenue that comes in their office. I know Dana, as I recall, was a Cap Gardner Award winner, a City Employee of the Year 3 or 4 years ago, so she does a great job, and I wanted to acknowledge that.
So they're all in for a raise, is that what you're trying to say?
Hey, we'll take it. Is there any other questions?
Anybody else?
I've got
One?
one. One?
All
Just
right.
one?
Let
Just
her
one,
rip.
Mayor? I know you're disappointed. I know you're crushed. The alcohol exemption, that kind of raised the hackles on the back of my neck. So I think Green River Distillery is in the county, but isn't Medley Distillery in the city? Do we have an alcohol producing entity in the city that
No,
we?
we do not.
They're all county, okay.
Yeah, they're all
But if
county.
we did, they would be exempt from this?
They're exempt on the alcohol portion. If they manufacture anything else, like Clark's manufactures Coke, so only the alcohol part of it is exempt.
And is that because of like our heritage for
That's a state statute. That's
state rationale on
yeah,
that?
it's a
Okay.
state statute.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, thank you so much. Excellent presentation.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so
Thank
much
you.
for you and
I'd
your
like to
hard
just
work.
also, I wanted like to say thank you to my wonderful tax staff. Their patience and dedication assisting taxpayers. It's not easy. It's not an easy job. It takes special people to be tax collectors. They get cursed.
Do you really?
Yeah. And I'm very blessed to work with such a wonderful group. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you. Okay, next item on the agenda, Fire Department Water Rescue Response Capabilities and Training, Battalion Chief Jason Pickrell and Lieutenant Ted Johnston.
Battalion Chief Jason Pickrell, Owensboro Fire Department, 512 West 9th Street. Chief Howard invited us tonight to talk about, me and Lieutenant Johnston talk about fire suppression and water rescue in our water bodies, in our community. So everybody thinks about fire response and our community as in Owensboro, Owensboro being a 21 square mile city. But one of the most critical things that we protect is our northern border, which is the Ohio River. The Ohio River has 7 miles of shoreline that runs along the city. Our coverage runs 50 miles from the Cannleton Dam to Newburgh Dam. That runs from mile marker 720 to 770. A lot of this has to do with mutual aid agreements that we have with Hancock County, Davis County, Ohio Township, and Henderson. So the river operates much like an interstate, often referred to as Marine Highway 70 or M70, because it runs parallel with Interstate 70. So we have over 90 million tons of cargo passing through our area every year on our barge systems. Kentucky has over 90 private ports and 7 public river ports. 11 of those private ports are here in the city. One is public, which is our Riverport system. Our Riverport it takes in 600 barges a year, loads and unloads. So with the river being such a busy and dangerous waterway, we provide firefighter services. So we provide services such as fire suppression, technical rescue, and chemical hazardous material spill containment. For our section of the Ohio River, we do this for marine vessels, barges, pleasure craft, and also shoreline riverbank management. We also stage water assets for city events such as the air show, boat races, fireworks, and the upcoming drone show. So we also have water within the city. So aside from all the water out, along the river, and we have floodplain all around us and the potential for the city flooding, we have static water. We have 60 water basins that are filled with water year-round that are at least a half acre in size that have the potential to create a water emergency. We also have 9 basins that are dry that will fill up during flood conditions. Another thing that these water basins, the potential hazard for them is whenever the temperature changes and they freeze over on top, the potential for somebody to get on top of them and to fall through, and you have an ice emergency. So Station 1 houses all of our marine equipment. And depending on the type of emergency that we have and where it's located will help us decide what we need to use. So this is our 28-foot Firecat rescue boat. This boat provides fire suppression, search and rescue, and it also helps with the hazardous material spill containment. This boat has a 1,000-gallon per minute pump. It also has it has a 55 square foot cabin with heating and air. And the reason why the conditioned air is important is if you have a person that you have rescued in inclement weather, it's important to get them stabilized as quickly as possible, because we've had to pull people out of the river multiple times, falling off barges in the wintertime, and they're hypothermic. This also has a FLIR, which is forward-looking infrared, which detects temperature differences and uses thermal imaging to detect heat emitted by objects. So this helps us see through darkness, fog, and glare. So we'll use this. We've had boats that are stranded on the river without power, so they have no lights and the boat will not be working. And with all the barge traffic that we have, that creates a dangerous situation for them to get run over. So we'll go out there and we can use this FLIR system to find them. We can just scan the horizon and find them fairly quickly. So the top left picture, we have the boat on the water with a 5-inch supply line. So in 2018, when the OMU's water main broke, we had a water shortage. And so fire hydrants was an issue for the fire department specifically. And so what we could do is, or what we did is we put our fireboat in the water permanently, or temporarily, I guess you would say, and we could fill the trucks up with water when we needed to. And we just had like a permanent water source. So, but that's just an example of one thing that we could do with it. And then the middle picture is just the truck just shooting water. And then the last picture is practicing with the Owensboro Spill Group for hazardous material spill containment. This boat is going to be replaced possibly in next year. It'll be, this boat currently is a fiberglass boat. It'll be replaced with an aluminum boat, and it will be about 2 foot longer, 2 foot wider. The cabin will be twice as big, and it will also have a cuddy cabin on it. It will have 2 monitors instead of 1. One will be on the roof. The one on the roof will be remote control. The one on the bow will be manual. It will also have the FLIR system and all other updated electronics. The boat on the left is the Rescue One connector aluminum boat. This is a flat bottom boat. This boat, it's used for search, rescue, and recovery operations. It has on the front of it there, you see a little platform hanging down. It's a lift platform, and it's for diver and victim support to help to get people out of the water. It's not always down. I just have it down for the picture. But this boat, it's easily deployed, and it can be used in shallow water. What's nice about this boat is it can be connected to other boats of this type, and we have neighbors with this same boat. Davis County Fire Department has one, and Hancock County Fire Department has 2. And so you can connect multiple of these boats together to almost form like a barge. And what happens is if you're doing a search and rescue or recovery operation, and you're using a drag system, you have a bigger grid pattern that you can search, so you can search more efficiently. And the last picture there, those are inflatable boats. Those are the Inmar inflatable boats. These boats are the most versatile in our fleet. They can go in the shallowest water. You can run them basically anywhere. You can trailer them anywhere. You can pick them up. You can pack them. Sometimes you can't get the boats. You can't just trailer them to where you need them to be, so you have to pick them up and actually carry them. So these boats are versatile in that way. The Swiftwater team uses them for a lot of different things like that, especially when trailering is not an option. And then the boat on top, can't really see a good picture of it, but that's a yellow, it's an inflatable, we call it the banana boat, and it's used for ice rescue, among its other stuff too, but it's really good for ice rescue. Oops. And this last picture, I took a class last summer on sonar, and this was to help us figure out what we wanted to put on our new boat and to update all our sonar technology. And I took these pictures. This is Garmin, and this is called LiveScope. And if you're not familiar with this is just basically giving you an idea of what we're looking at whenever we do a search. And so this is actually out of our river. And the first 2 images on the left that are more red, that is the LiveScope image. And LiveScope, what it is it gives you an image that is actually moving. And even though what we're looking at is not moving, in the fishing world, what you're looking at is moving. What we're looking at is maybe something that's off-gassing. And so most of the time what we're looking for is something that has newly been put in the water, and so it will be off-gassing bubbles. And so the bubbles will be catching our attention. And actually these are actually vehicles, and they've been in the water I don't know how long, and they were still off-gassing when we were looking at them. So the one on the left is a truck, and you can see the cab, and it's actually like it's kind of down in the silt of the river. The middle picture is a car upside down, and you can see the tires. And then the last picture is something called structure scan, and there's 2 vehicles in this picture, and one of them, the roof is either caved in, or it's either that or like the sunroof or the moonroof has fallen in. And now I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Johnson to talk about training and preparedness.
Lieutenant Ted Johnston, Owensboro Fire Department, 512 West 9th. Just to kind of pick up from where Battalion Chief Pickerel was at, we've got a lot of equipment, right? We got to know how to use it. So I was going to go into a little bit of just some of the training that goes into these guys being able to efficiently use the tools that they have. First, you know, we talk about, Jason mentioned a little bit about swift water. Swift water, you may think of it as fast moving. The actual definition is 1 knot, which is 1.15 miles an hour. Water doesn't have to be moving very fast to be technically swift water. This river out here is almost always moving faster than that. So that's one of the things that we have to kind of get in with our guys to let them know, you know, just because it's barely moving, it's probably still moving fast enough to do some serious harm. As far as the way we're set up, we look at our guys and all the guys that respond on the trucks. We try to get them to an awareness and operations level. That way they can identify the hazards. Any kind of water rescue, you're looking at a basic shift or progression of how you do a rescue. It's reach for them, throw, row, and go. Each one of those aspects has got progressively more dangerous for that responder. You know, as far as the shore-based guys, the awareness guys, be able to reach for them with any kind of tool. We keep pike posts on the truck, firefighting tool, some long reach. All of our trucks have got throw bags on them. We can throw a polypropylene rope to them, which will float on the water. It's not going to sink. Some of our apparatus have throw rings as well. The yellow boat that's in the picture that they're doing the ice rescue with, that's not only our ice rescue, our streets that flood and things to that nature, that one can be drugged very easily. It weighs probably 80 pounds. So that's what the operation guys are looking at rowing wise. And the absolute last thing that anybody's ever going to do in a water rescue is going to be a ghost situation. That's actually putting a responder in the water, physically swimming towards a victim. That's the most dangerous thing for everybody. So that's why it's at the very bottom of our matrix for going. As far as the company guys, basically looking at the ice response like Jason's got there, and then we can get into kind of our specialized teams. Pretty much we've got 12 members currently that are trained as a swiftwater technician. If the commission sees fit to approve the budget, we're looking at adding another 12 members to that team. The reason that's important to us, right now, of those 12 members, 11 of them are on the trucks regular. To really efficiently or to have a safe and effective rescue of any kind of fast-moving water, you need almost 6 guys. Well, you got 11 guys between 3 crews. It's kind of hard to get those 6. So if we can get more well-trained, we're going to be able to better serve our citizens because we're going to be able to have the right amount of people there to effect a proper rescue. Our technician guys, the class that we all go through, that's what these pictures are. This is at Lake Nolan. We go there annually to do kind of our skills test for the current members. At the tailwaters, they'll let the water out at the dam, and it's set up great for us. And as far as our initial class, guys are going to learn things like how to read the different water, how to read the way it's reacting. If, say, you see, it's hard, you can't see it well in that picture, but the currents, the way that they're going over each other, whether there's something under it, how shallow, deep it could be. They'll be able to learn how to actually rescue themselves if they get stuck up in a strainer or some sort of situation like that. Again, the reach, throw, row, go is going to be very heavily done, just a little bit more advanced. Be using the motorized NMARS for doing a motorized victim pickup. They learn how to rescue themselves, like the overturned green boat there. It's a good possibility it's going to happen with just the unpredictable water situation, so they'll learn how to rescue themselves. Every year, we'll get with the regional maritime security. We do lots of trainings with them. They've got a committee. They'll do tabletop exercises. We also go out in the Ohio, normally in Newburgh, and we'll practice getting our boats up to large vessels and actually boarding those vessels if they did have a medical emergency or something to that nature on a barge. So while they're still moving, we practice actually getting up on there and getting access to the barge. One year we took local law enforcement with us, and they practiced getting on there as well if they had to. But that's all I have. Thank you. Any questions for me or Chief Pickerel?
Thank you. Any questions? I just don't want any part of all that myself. Thank you for what you all doing. Public safety, number one concern of all elected officials.
Yeah, Mayor, I was actually about to say that, because
Okay.
I hear that often, and so over the last several years, we've been pretty strategic and intentional about building out some of these water rescue efforts, and so you said that's a priority, so I thought that was good for you and the community to see some of those assets that we've developed over the last several years.
Okie dokie. All right, next item on the agenda is city project list. City Manager Nate Pagan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. You've had the list for your perusal for the last several days. So really just two things I'll mention specifically, and actually it's projects that are now complete and will be coming off the list. Both the York Ditch project is substantially complete, of course, the Fire Training Center. So both those projects have been on the list now for 2+ years, and so glad to report that those are both done, and they will be dropping off the list next month. So this is the last time you'll see them on that list, but other than that, nothing specifically I'll emphasize unless you have any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Sanford?
Just one.
I hear you.
People have been asking me about Ben Hall's driving range. There was something, I guess, on one of the, can we go into that just a little bit, what we're actually doing?
Yeah, I will. And actually, I don't know if Carrie is necessarily prepared to speak to that offhand, but so Amanda had a conflict and couldn't attend tonight. So that is something we actually budgeted in the current year's budget, but it's just now starting. So we talked about it back last April or May during the budget process. But essentially, we needed to make some improvements to the driving range at Ben Hall. So adding teak space capacity, and then also adding some upgraded technology to where it'd be pretty neat to where you can sort of like do the top tracer type technologies where you can show how far your ball went and how much curvature it had, and then be able to do like certain targets in games. So it's kind of like I don't want to say it'll be Top Golf, but it's something like that to where if you want to go out there with some buddies after work one day and we sell beer out there and get split a 6-pack with your buddies and have it closest to the pin type of contest and blow off some steam, or hopefully have corporate events and things of that nature out there as well. So we thought that was an opportunity to make some improvements to the range that were needed, but then to make them a little bit better to where it'll hopefully be a draw for the course as well.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty neat. I'm glad
Did I
you
describe that correctly?
Okay. I'm glad you could, yeah, because people are talking about it. They were talking Top Golf. I was like, well, I don't know about that, but this sounds pretty cool. So
It will be neat.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir, Mr.
Outdoor pickleball complex.
Again?
Wanted to say, it looks like the restrooms have been upgraded at that park. They look a lot better. But the question I've got is, it's just a logical question. So our completion date is December 2025, and we're almost to June. Are we gonna make it?
That's a good question. So hopefully that will be bid by the end of the month was the goal. I think that's still the goal. So that may be sort of in flux a little bit. We'll probably have a presentation at either the next meeting or the meeting after about that with updated timelines. And I suspect Amanda will talk a little bit more specifically and show the final design and timeline. So stay tuned for that, but that's a fair question.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Nothing else on the project list then. Just one question. Are we on schedule, Leland, for opening of the hoop and snatch it down there? Okay, good deal.
Indoor sports scheduled for
Yeah,
next summer, I believe.
Okay, item 5B, consider approval of the minutes from April 29, 2025, May 6, 2025. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Board appointments. Is this you, me, or you? Me? It's me? You want me to do it? Okay. Dugan Best Neighborhood Alliance, report Deborah Street to a 2-year term effective May 23, 2025. Old Neighborhood Alliance, appoint Brooke Matheny to a 2-year term effective May the 20th, 2025. Make a motion to approve these. Could I have a second? Oh, we already did that. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you. Have a separate appointment, and we'll ask Curtis Maglinger to not vote. Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame Museum Board, appoint Curtis Maglinger to fill the remainder of an unexpired term ending November the 24th, 2026, replacing Tom Watson. I'll make a motion to approve this appointment. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 6, ordinances. This will be a roll call vote. Ms. Carrico.
Ordinance 4-2025, an ordinance changing the name of Taylor Avenue to Kamoff Way, read for approval on second reading this 20th day of May 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second?
Second.
City manager, please.
Mayor, we did discuss this at the last
Okay.
meeting, but just in summary, the Owensboro Catholic High School requested changing the name of Taylor Avenue to Kamoff Way to acknowledge the contributions of Charlie and Linda Kamoff. Taylor is a short drive off of Dean Avenue. It has no properties address to it. A lot of people probably think it's just the back driveway into the back entrance at Catholic High anyway, so that was a pretty easy request that we were happy to honor for Charlie and his contributions.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Carrico.
Commissioner Sanford,
Yes.
Commissioner Neesmith,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Maglinger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is approved. Item 6B, please.
Ordinance 5-2025, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2-2019 and adopting the Davis County Fiscal Court Countywide Animal Control Ordinance, KOC 1010.9, 2025, read for approval on second reading this 20th day of May, 2025.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
So moved.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
Yes, Mayor. Historically, the city has adopted the county's animal control ordinance because the county does animal control inside the city and outside the city both. So it's one of the couple services they provide for us. And so they had made some changes earlier this year to their animal control ordinance. So we are just adopting those changes. Generally, the county ordinance addresses more like domesticated animals for items related to animal cruelty, animal nuisances, which is barking dogs and that sort of thing, chaining, tethering of animals, regulation of pet shops and kennels, and then impoundment or when they're taken to the animal shelter, things of that nature. So it's really for domesticated animals like that. We retain our own laws regarding animals in parks and livestock within the city and those types of things.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Ms. Carrico?
Commissioner Neesmith,
Yes.
Mayor Watson.
Yes.
Commissioner Maglinger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn,
Yes.
Yeah,
Commissioner
thank you.
Sanford.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion approved. Item number 7, first reading. There will be no vote. Ms. Carrico?
Ordinance 6-2025, an ordinance adopting and approving the annual budget of the City of Owensboro, Kentucky for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, and appropriating the revenues to the various departments of the city as set forth herein, introduced and publicly read on first reading this 20th day of May, 2025.
Thank you. City manager, tell us about this.
I'm happy to, Mayor. So this is first reading of the ordinance adopting the city's 2025-26 fiscal year budget. There are no changes to the draft budget that you were provided. It was discussed in the videos that you were sent, and that was presented in detail to the Board of Commissioners and to the public in late April. So as such, the budget includes no changes to city tax rates. The general fund, which is our main or primary operating fund, is balanced. The budget includes investments in the priorities that you've emphasized, including public safety, infrastructure, and economic development. In addition, the budget provides the resources necessary for our city departments to continue to provide high-level professional services and facilities to the community for the next fiscal year. I'd like to acknowledge the finance staff who were integral in the budget, Angela and her staff, and the many managers, department heads who were involved. Again, it's the culmination of months of work, hours of work, so I'd like to acknowledge all their efforts.
Thank you. Okay, item 7B, Ms. Carrico.
Ordinance 7-2025, an ordinance establishing the compensation of city employees and non-elected city officers in accordance with the Personnel and Pay Classification Plan as required by KRS 838.070, introduced and publicly read on first reading this 20th day of May, 2025.
Thank you. City Manager, please.
Yes, sir. State law requires that we adopt our pay charts by ordinance. So this is first reading of an ordinance adopting our pay charts for the 25-26 fiscal year. So really you can think of it as a companion piece to the budget that we just also had first reading of. And the only change to the pay chart is to incorporate the cost of living adjustment that is included in the budget. So no structural changes or anything at all. All the numbers were just adjusted by the 3.5% cost of living adjustment, which is funded in the budget.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Item 7C, please.
Ordinance 8-2025, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025, and amending Ordinance 7-2024 to provide for purchase of property developer incentive payments, construction of bus shelters, and contribution to the cold food storage project, to provide for receipt of grant revenue and appropriate those funds, and to true up year-end activity, introduced and publicly read on first reading this 20th day of May, 2025.
Thank you. City Manager, please.
Yes, this is first reading of an ordinance for a budget amendment for the current fiscal year, which is the 24-25 fiscal year. So the budget we just talked about was for next fiscal year, but this is an amendment to the current year, which ends June 30th. And this is a typical end-of-year budget amendment that we do toward the end of each fiscal year. The amendment includes one particular item of note. We've previously appropriated $100,000 for the refrigerated food warehouse project, but after recent discussion, it was clear that the consensus of the commission wanted to make a larger contribution to that project. So the amendment appropriates an additional $400,000 to the project for a total contribution from the city of $500,000. Other than that, the budget amendment primarily includes items that you've already approved. So things like grants, where you've approved the application for grants. And if we get that revenue, you have to approve the revenue and then approve the expenditure of those grant funds in accordance with the grant terms. So you've approved the applications, but now you have to approve the funds. And then similarly, as Adrian read, various incentives that you've already approved, incentives for economic development projects such as the improvement for the mall, and this has the associated funding with those types of projects as well. So it's fairly typical, various cleanup items such as that, really nothing new other than the additional funding for the food warehouse project.
Thank you. Item 8, municipal orders. There will be a vote.
Municipal Order 11-2025, a municipal order approving the 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan and the 2025 through 2026 Annual Action Plan for Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Funds, prepared by the Community Development Department, and authorizing and directing the mayor to execute same, read for approval on one reading this 20th day of May, 2025.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, please.
The 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan charts a 5-year course focused on affordable housing, production, and preservation, and we shift to the Monarch Neighborhood Revitalization Area, which includes economic opportunities and partnerships and resilient public infrastructure upgrades, targeting approximately 200 projects in that area. Year 1 of that multi-year plan of the Monarch NRSA is captured in the annual action plan, which proposes to deploy $542,893 of CDBG funds and $273,553 in home funds for single-family rehab, emergency repairs, facade demolition grants, first-time homebuyer assistance while reserving share for administrative and compliance costs. These investments are expected to leverage $4 million in additional private capital over the next 5 years of the Monarch term. And Community Development Director Abby Shelton will provide more detail at our meeting next month about the new Monarch NRSA as we're transitioning out of Riverview, where we've been in the Northwest for the last 5 years, to Monarch. You can see the boundary of that in red on the screens in front of you, but Abby will present more about that next month with some detail. And then also this action has been reviewed and endorsed by the Citizens Advisory Committee on Community Development.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We'd like to recognize Ms. Shelton for her hard work on this and the piles of paper you send me to sign all the time. It's quite an operation. Appreciate you. Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is approved. City Manager item.
Yes, first, Mayor, if you would acknowledge Angela Wattinger to present the April financial report.
I'm proud to acknowledge Ms. Warner.
Thank you, Mayor. So for tonight, we'll review the general fund activity for the month of and the fiscal year to date through April 2025. For those of you that have the financial packet, you can refer to page 3 for more detail. So for the first slide, the month of April, actual revenues of $8,085,405 were higher than budgeted revenues of $7,269,228. This results in a positive variance of $816,177. This variance is primarily due to higher net profits, higher insurance license fees, and higher interest income, offset primarily by lower occupational withholding. And I would like to add that when we prepare our monthly budget, it's based on historical activity. And so historically, we've always done our TIF transfer from the general fund to the TIF funds in the month of May. But this month we were a month ahead of ourselves. And so this occupational, while it's lower than budget, there's a reason why. It's timing. And so we transferred $523,000 to the TIF funds, which is actually reflected in next month's budget. So hopefully next month you'll see occupational be way over budget. For the next slide, we've got general fund revenues through April. The actuals are $67,304,253, higher than budgeted revenues of $64,044,142 for a variance of $3,260,111. This variance is primarily due to higher net profits, insurance license fees, property tax, and interest income. And I'd like to add too, our net profits are really, really doing well. We're about $2 million over budget. And so I think that's a good reflection of the economy here in our local area. The next slide is the expenditures for the general fund for the month of April. Actuals were $5,458,497, which is higher than budgeted of $5,442,158 for a variance of $16,339. And I would just like to add, I do see an additional 3 in that presentation, but this just is a demonstration of how we budget cyclically monthly to make the actuals reflect the budget and vice versa. And for the next slide, we've got our expenditures for year-to-date April. Actual expenditures of $63,705,668 were less than budgeted expenditures of $70,506,379 for a variance of $6,800,711. This variance is primarily due to timing and transfers to OMU, which is down to about $1 million balance, maintenance and supplies, which is primarily street resurfacing, and capital expenditures and savings in personnel services in the amount of $1.2 million. This is our last slide, which shows the monthly revenues and expenses and how cyclical they can be. Revenues, which are reflected by the green bar, tend to be higher in the tax collection months, as you can see, October and November for property tax and April for our net profits. Expenses, reflected by the red bar, tend to be higher in the warmer months and in the months where we have 3 pay periods rather than 2. We have 3 pay periods twice a year, every year. This year it occurred in August and January. We budget monthly according to the cyclical swings in revenues and expenditures. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Waniger. Any questions?
You're welcome.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the financial report for the period ending April 30th, 2025. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, City Manager. 9B.
Yeah, up next is personnel appointments. So for new hire probationary status, we have Chad Clark, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to construction inspector with Public Works Engineering, effective June 2nd. James Kingsley, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to labor maintenance helper with the Public Works Street and Stormwater Department, effective June 2nd. Sean Mattingly, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to maintenance specialist with Public Works Building Department, effective June 2nd. Thomas Miller, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to road worker with Public Works Street Department, effective June 2nd. Jacob P. Trogdon, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to maintenance equipment operator with Public Works Street Department, effective June 2nd. Lauren Yance, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to police officer with the police department, effective June 2nd, contingent upon successful completion of all post-offer pre-employment requirements. And then one regular status appointment, which is someone who's completed their probationary period, and that is Andrew Wilson, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment to firefighter with the fire department, effective May 28th.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 9C, City Manager comments.
Just one comment tonight. I think everyone's aware that the first Friday after 5 was unfortunately canceled last week due to weather. So historically, the city sponsors the first event, first Friday after 5 of the season. So that's City Night. And because of that cancellation, we are now sponsoring next week, which will be May 30th. So the City Night has been rescheduled next week, Friday, May 30th.
Who's in charge of the weather that week?
Not me.
Not you. Okay, thank you, sir. Communication from elected officials. Commissioner Sanford?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing. I was contacted by some business people that are on Industrial Drive to take a look at, I guess you call it the tent city. So I went down there and met with some business people, and I've gotten some calls from the neighborhood across, and there are some problems in that area: needles, people defecating in public, trash, and a lot of the people in the community in that area of our community are worried about the needles and the drugs and stuff in that area. And I just wanted to say, if you're a property owner, there's no place. I know people need help, but there's no place for people to destroy your property. So, and I don't think we're going to tolerate that here. And if you need help, there's places to go and get help. But I know it's a difficult situation, but we're not going to put up with people destroying people's property. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Commissioner Glenn?
Yes, just a few things. Want to commend Owensboro Fire Department for sending the crews to London to help search for people and deal with that. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it, and let's keep our neighbors, brothers and sisters in London in our prayers. Want to thank Tim Ross and his staff for just an outstanding Bourbon and Barrels event. 2 concerts, which were very expensive, by the way, they were free, were amazing. The Journey group, Resurrection, and then Clay Walker on Saturday night. Really good event. So anybody that says there's nothing going on in Owensboro wasn't paying attention. And then finally, I would just say, we are in the midst of tornado season and obviously severe storm weather season. I would really encourage you to talk to your legislators, particularly with the budget coming up on the national level, and make sure that NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and the National Weather Service do not get cut. They are a lifeline to knowing whether a storm is coming, and we need their help. We need their services, more so than ever. So I would encourage you to talk to your legislators at the federal level. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Commissioner Eastsmith?
I have two things. One would be when we talked about the business license that Dana talked about. I'm speaking now as a general manager who has lots of opportunities to talk to people who want to repair our roof on the hotel. So I just want to assure Dana that I'm doing my duty as a city commissioner, and everyone gets questioned and instructed or educated about, do you have an Owensboro a business license? So Angela was great and her team about educating me on how to ask that. So it's been very interesting, but we do have people in from all over the southeast and even out from the west coast. And I do want them to know they are appreciated, because there's no way with as much damage that we did have that we could get everybody back in working order and in a livable condition. So I do want to say thank you to them. And I promise you when they leave, I do shake their hand and they're smiling, so they're not mad at me. And then the other thing that I would like to talk about is this weekend at the Bluegrass Museum or in the Convention Center, there was the Eastern Folk Alliance, and these were groups of what you would think if you were looking at stereotypes, what people that sang folk songs, what they would look like when they're now 70 versus 30. So, but they were a great group. But what was most interesting to me is that was one of the nights when we had the tornado warning and the sirens were going off, and there was probably at least 35 people in our hotel lobby, and anybody that came in, and they had no clue what should they do, where should they go, what would. I had one lady from Colorado, and she had no idea. She'd never heard a siren go off. So what I was most impressed with is they actually listened to me. And it was so funny because and our stairwells are extremely the place to go. If I was going to go there, that's where I'm going to go if a tornado's coming. And to look in and see all those adults sitting there on the ground, silently just sitting there for almost 30 minutes, waiting to see that without giving you any lip service or anything or asking you if you're crazy. So it was just interesting to see another perspective of people that aren't used to tornadoes, for example. So, and it was a fun group, and they all, is it safe to come out now? And I'm like, yeah, you're safe. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that makes the safety happen. To that person that has to pull the switch to turn on the siren, and all the people that are out there to help when it's needed. So thank you.
I had some friends from California one time, and when this was going on, they're like, what do I do? I said, get underneath the bed. That's all I can tell you. Okay, Commissioner Magdalena.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the honor to attend the FOP Memorial Service, and that was amazing. So thank you for everybody that made that happen. Again, the barbecue and barrels was amazing. Hats off to our whole first responders, public works, Tim Ross's team, from the cleanup to setup to that was amazing. It really made Owensboro proud. And then I had the honor, not the honor, but the excitement to visit Owensboro's board meeting today, and boy, we had some exciting news. Tourism brings so much new money and dollars into our community, and that's so important. It's fair to say that right now we have the most conventions going on, indoor, outdoor events, and hotels are up 7% over the whole. So that is proof that working together with our great, staff with Visit Owensboro, Tim Ross's team, and our convention center management team, we've got a lot of great things happening in Owensboro. So we just wanted to share some great things happening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is open public forum. Members of the audience may address the Board of Commissioners on any matter of public concern that was not on the agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of the Commission. Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefit of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the City Commission, please make the way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Since the item is not on the agenda, No response is required from staff or the Board of Commissioners. And who's up? Okay.
My name is Steve Ennis. I live at 3657 Briarcliff Trace in Owensboro. I'm also the leader of Green River Community Food Warehouse. On behalf of our team, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of you for your support. We still have a long way to go. However, once operational, we're committed to providing an incremental 215,000 meal equivalents and feeding an incremental 2,400 food insecure people above and beyond what is currently available today. Mayor Watson, I want to say a special thank you to you. You were the first individual out of either the public or private sector that stood up in a meaningful way and supported this project. It wouldn't have gotten off the ground without you. So thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem Glenn, Commissioners Manglinger and Sanford, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Commissioner Naismith, your advocacy for this project has been, in particular, helping us make a real difference both now and in ongoing. Greatly appreciated. You consider City Manager Pagan, thank you for your advice and your recommendations along the way. Thank you again, all of you, for your support to help reduce food insecurity in Owensboro and Davis County.
And I just might add that Mr. Ennis has contributed out of his own back pocket considerable for this project. He's really got his heart in it. And anybody in the public that wishes to participate in help can call City Hall or call me, or I can give Steve's phone number out too. But this is near and dear to his heart, and God bless you for that. Okay, anybody else? Uh-oh. She's back.
Wasn't expecting to speak this evening, but
I told you if you're here, you better talk.
I'm Pam Bivens, 4127 Liberty Point. A few months ago, I asked the mayor and the commissioners and the rest of the company here to assist me with a little project for the Science and History Museum. And they were happy to sacrifice their neckties. I appreciate that. Those neckties, along with nearly 800 ties from the gentlemen of Owensboro, came together and gave me plenty of choices to make this quilt to be used sometime in the next year for a special project for the museum that will be tied in with the 250th anniversary of our country. I don't have all the details for this fundraiser, but before I hand it over to the museum and their new director, who I have not met yet, I wanted to bring it here to give all of you a little peek. It's not quite finished yet, but the neckties that you and the firefighters and the Owensboro Police and all of the gentlemen of Owensboro provided helped me create this. So if you would like to have a look, I would be happy to show you.
Have a look.
Okay.
Need somebody to help you open it up?
Yeah, I could use some help.
Oh, wow.
This was not my original design, but Larry had a look and he said, no, that's not what I want. So you can,
That is awesome. Uh-huh, I see it. I'd like to have one for my house. Will you do anything next week?
Jason Sexton, 3534 Burns Road. I was just wanting to hear the rules for public comment again. I was just wondering if I could hear the rules for public comment again for future reference. I think I might live out in the county then. Spend a lot of my time in Owensboro though.
Anybody who wishes to address the city commission, please make their way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less.
Okay, so I did get it all.
You did get it all? Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That it? Okay. Cool. Okay, who's next? Looks like we're finished with that part. We're going to go into closed session. Consider closed session KRS 61.810, parentheses 1, close parentheses, parentheses B, close parentheses, for discussion on a future acquisition. Thank you, dear Lord. They do a little bowling up there tonight. Sale of property. Could I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
Motion.
So moved. Could I have a second, please?
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're gonna make it. There'll be no action tonight.